But now that I do think about it, why didn't they give Kamala an awakening? What was the point in not doing that? Is it because they're saving her for a tier 3? Have they been instructed directly by Marvel to highlight Miss Marvel? Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, Cynicalex. And today I want to talk about transcended characters who can awaken their potential, but not the ones like Gwenom or Medusa who get uniforms and become amazing characters that are in the meta. I want to talk about the forgotten or the lost awakened characters who either didn't get anything or only got an awakened skill and nothing else, because this is now becoming a trend in Marvel Future Fight and it's leaving a lot of players scratching their heads. I had a conversation about this which basically spurred and triggered the idea for this video last night on the stream at the very end. So if you're one of the people there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, more recently, we've gotten more. In the last few updates, we've gotten more awakened characters, right? Before we were just getting one tier 3 and one awakened character. Well, the very first update, we got 4 awakened characters with the Warriors of the Sky. The update after that, we got 2 with both Red Skull and Dr. Octopus. But then we just got Mystique, all by her lonesome. Right, Mystique was the only awakened character. I know, crazy. And then the update after that, it was just Red Guardian. We were getting 1 tier 3 and 1 awakened character. But we know that Marvel Future Fight has ramped that up. Maybe they're ramping it up because they want to upgrade more characters. Maybe they want to ramp it up because they want to make more money. It's probably a little bit of both. It's probably a little bit of A, a little bit of B. So now we started getting the mid-month tier 3s. Then we started getting extra awakened characters, you know, happening at the same time. So for example, in this last update, we not only get Gwenom, but we're going to be getting Silk down the road, and we already have Spider-Woman as well. So we already have 2 awakened characters, and we're going to get the 3rd one. This is the first update, I believe. No, it's not. The last update. The last update, the update before this was the very first update where all of the characters in the awakening skill got an awakening. So for example, if you look at Moon Knight's awakening skill, you can actually see the characters in the icon. You have, of course, Morbius and ELSA. Guess who got an awakening? Morbius and ELSA. Morbius is a brand new character. So brand new characters are basically tuned to around the same level as brand new uniforms. Moon Knight got a uniform, you know. Basically, the good thing about Marvel Future Fight is when a character gets a uniform, they basically become, most of the time, they become a brand new character. So it's almost like releasing a new character, right? So we got the new character uniform, the new character Moon Knight, and the new character Morbius, and they both got awakening skills, and they're powerful. So what's missing? What's the big idea? What's the problem here? Well, you know what the problem is. ELSA sucks. ELSA got an awakening. It's right here, Monster's Demise, but it sucks. I mean, the skill is good. If you use her, and I did on the APK, she can do like stage 50, 60 Proxima because the -70 all defense down is so powerful. Now, you have to waste, or you have to use up one of your 3 possible defense, all defense down increase leaderships, right? The debuff leaderships. Was just lost for words there. But anyways, you have to use one of the debuff leaderships on ELSA to make her worthwhile, because that -70 goes up to -98, and everyone deals good damage. We found that out in February and January of 2020. We found out that every character deals good damage with 100% all defense down when the strikers were going, you know, berserk. But yeah, so ELSA didn't get a uniform, but she got an awakening. And we were sitting there scratching our heads like, man, this kind of sucks. So I guess I'm not gonna awaken ELSA. I guess you're not gonna awaken ELSA if you don't want to. And now we have something similar going on with Silk. And so I bring this up because Silk has not gotten her awakening yet. See, it's not even in the game. So even if you wanted to, you couldn't awaken Silk yet. Which sort of makes me wonder, when is Silk gonna get her awakening? Are they waiting on Silk's awakening because they're gonna give her a uniform as well, and they're working on her uniform right now? Maybe. Otherwise, I don't know, because if they are waiting, hypothetically, if you know, tomorrow or the next day rolls around and we get a sneak peek of Silk's awakening, and then all we get for the week is just Silk's awakening, that is going to feel so dead and so boring and so lame that it's almost like not releasing anything at all, right? These staggered releases only work if you're actually releasing worthwhile stuff. Silk's awakening is not even that worthwhile to Silk fans, because it's not even going to make Silk that good, just like ELSA, right? It doesn't even make her that good. It makes her very, very niche for a world boss that we already have tons of options for. And in the sense of ELSA, you'd be better off just using Moon Knight or Morbius against Proxima. I mean, you know, in that case, you can use Moon Knight unawakened. You don't even have to bother awakening him, right? So then it's like, okay, why are they releasing? Then the question comes up: why are they releasing awakening characters without uniforms, right? So let's go back and look at what happened originally with the original awakened characters. So the very first awakened characters, they all appear in the awakening skill, right? The awaken. Well, I choose the one that I don't have, of course. Anyways, the Warriors of the Sky, when you pop their special, right, the Celestial Judgment or whatever, all of the other Warriors of the Sky show up. So I use hers. She's there, obviously, and then Sunbird, Shadow Shell, and War Tiger pop out. So that makes sense. So we sort of understood that logic, and we thought that they were going to continue that logic, but they didn't. So for example, Red Skull's awakening, you can see that there are, oh, you actually can't see, but anywho, in his awakening skill, you can very clearly see both Sin and Crossbones. Did Sin and Crossbones get an awakening? No. A lot of players, when they saw that Red Skull was getting an awakening, and that when they saw his awakening skill with Crossbones and Sin, they're like, oh man, Sin and Crossbones are going to get an awakening. Awesome, they're going to be even stronger. But of course that didn't happen. Now in Sin's case, she didn't get anything, so she just got the shaft. Crossbones got a uniform. Crossbones got a pretty good uniform. If Crossbones, and shout out to Gravity Punch, if Crossbones had gotten an awakening, he could have been pretty meta. You know, he could have been like decent. He's got 50k HP here, you know, with my build, and he's unawakened, so he could have had like 60,000-70,000 HP with the way the new awakening system works, because the Transcendence gives you HP. And then in the case of Dr. Octopus, we see Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, right? We see all of the other, well, a lot of the other Sinister Six. So people were like, oh man, the Sinister Six are all gonna get the Sinister Plan awakening skill. No, that didn't happen. So I think what the devs have realized, or I guess what they're experimenting with, I don't know if it's an experimentation or if it's a realization. I don't really know. But I think that they're experimenting and sort of testing to see if players are interested in actually getting those extra characters as awakened options rather than getting nothing at all. Because they basically have three options. Option one is what they did at the beginning, where they show other characters in the awakening skill, but those other characters don't get anything. They're just there for the awakening skill, and that's it. That's all they're there for. Option two is the characters show up in the awakening skill, like ELSA, and they get the awakening skill as well, sort of copy pasted, but they don't get a uniform. The third option, if they have enough developers working on the game, which it doesn't seem like they have enough people, and they have enough time, then they do the best case scenario. The best case scenario is that every character in the awakening skill gets an awakening skill that's unique, and every character in the awakening skill also gets a uniform upgrade, right? That would be the best case scenario. What's very interesting is that in Medusa's case, the two people that pop up for Queen's Command are Kamala and Crystal. Crystal didn't get a uniform, but Kamala did. But Kamala didn't get an awakening. So they are really, this is like the hidden fourth option. This one didn't make any sense to me at all now that I thought about it. I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I do think about it, why didn't they give Kamala an awakening? What was the point in not doing that? Is it because they're saving her for a tier 3? Have they been instructed directly by Marvel to highlight Miss Marvel? Because she's being highlighted more in comics, she's going to have her own movie or whatever. Maybe they're saving her, right? She's in the Marvel Avengers game as one of the protagonists, the main protagonists. Maybe they're saving her for a tier 3. That's the only logical answer, right? Because they had an opportunity, and they've been doing it lately, where, you know, Moon Knight and Morbius and Elsa, all three of them are getting an awakening. Spider-Gwen, Silk, and Spider-Woman, all three getting an awakening. But the update before, they had a perfect opportunity to give it to Crystal and Kamala, and they gave it to nobody, just Medusa, nobody else. Very strange. So if you go back further, right, Kamala and Crystal are great examples. I mean, I don't think that many people are hoping for Crystal tier 3. I think Crystal Awakening would have been fine, right, and it would have given us another option for Ebony. It would have been pretty good. But if you go back further, for example, Amadeus Cho. So the two people that appear in his awakening, Atlas Tactics, are Luna Snow, who has a tier 3, but then Wave. Remember how garbage Wave was/is? They could have reworked Wave. They had a perfect opportunity. They could have sold the heroic quest to make more crystals, right? To make more money off of players. She's literally on the front page. She's there. That's Wave next to Beta. That's Wave. She's, you know, the queen of the Philippines. Like, hello, you've got an entire island nation, 100 million people who would rep Wave because she's one of their own, right? She represents the Philippines. You introduced her to the game with Silver Surfer and Namor, which are two huge Marvel characters. She was part of the Marvel 80th anniversary update, and you've just left her in the dust. You've completely, I don't even think the devs remember she's in the game. A lot of players don't remember she's in the game, to be honest. As cool as her design is, as cool as she is, she's just not that strong. And in video games where you have to play these characters, strength matters. She's just a support type. That's all she is. She's a support type character, and she really shouldn't be. She should be way more than a support type character. A character that controls the water with giant swords? Yeah, sign me up. I want that. That's like Poseidon. That's dope. So, yeah, they could have given her an awakening, and it would have been great. I don't know why they didn't. The awakening for Cho is honestly really cool. The water comes in, and then Luna freezes it, and then it explodes. And Cho's awakening, if you play with him, is pretty freaking good, too. It does a lot of damage. So why didn't they give her an awakening? So, you know what? Now that I look at it from that perspective, I would rather that they do what they're doing now than what they were used to do, than what they were doing before, what they were used to doing. So as much as we make fun of ELSA, for example, for getting an awakening and nothing else, I think I would have preferred if Wave had gotten an awakening and nothing else, because she got nothing else. So she got nothing, and now she's still nothing, right? At least ELSA has the very small advantage of having an awakening, which means that in the future, if she gets a uniform, she could be a serious threat as a very strong character. Wave now needs that's not Wave. Wave now not only needs an awakening or tier 3, but she also needs the uniform, right? So she's sort of 0% the way there, whereas Elsa's already 50% the way there, having the awakening, having the opportunity to actually get that extra stat bump after level 70 and that extra skill, etc., right? And then we already talked about the Secret Empire characters that pop up for Dr. Octopus and Red Skull. Beta Ray Bill, for example, is an interesting one because you have a tier 3, you have two tier 3 characters, Thor and Odin, that pop out, so that was never an issue. For Mystique, Magneto's already tier 3, but Nightcrawler's another character. They could have sold, you know, they could have sold us on Nightcrawler. They didn't. I'm not sure why. So it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting topic. I want to see and hear from you guys down below in the comments and hear your opinions and see what you guys think. I do think, now that I sort of parse out the idea in my head, that the way that they're doing it is better, where all 3 of the characters that appear in the awakening skill get an awakening, unless they explicitly have a reason to avoid that because they want to give the character a tier 3 in the future. That would be the only reasoning for not giving all 3 of the characters an awakening. Obviously, I would prefer that all 3 of the characters that get an awakening also get a uniform so that they can actually be good and sort of current in the 2020 landscape for the game, because this game moves so fast, and they recycle, or not recycle, but they replace characters so fast. So, you know, even just a small upgrade to Silk could have a massive impact, right? They didn't really need to do that much for ELSA. If they had just tweaked some of her skills, they didn't even have to tweak all of her skills. They could have just tweaked the damage on 5 because the effects are fine. She gets a 5-second immunity. But if she had just done that and then tweaked a couple of other skills, she could have been definitely usable. But it really just depends on whether the devs have enough manpower, woman power sort of thing, and whether they have enough time. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Would you prefer that every single awakening character that appears gets an awakening skill, or do you want the sort of quality over quantity approach, and you don't care for characters like Silk and Elsa to get awakening skills if they're not going to get anything else and just sit in the dust anyways? Thanks so much for watching. Let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.